All right. Here we are back again. Tim, good to see you.
Likewise, shame we didn't meet in person, David.
No, but we did attend an event together because it was a hybrid event. That counts as attending an event together these days. So we'll both have a perspective on what we're talking about today, which is the WebexOne, my first WebexOne event in Anaheim, California. You ready to dig
Fantastic.
in?
Yeah. I
Actually,
attended, sorry, David, I
no.
attended remotely, of course, from my home office in Letchworth in the UK. I had I think it was about 2 hours plus of content that we were privileged to. So the keynotes, unfortunately, some of the other sessions weren't hybrid, and neither was the analyst session. But I did enjoy seeing what I saw.
Well, it was a lot. It was 3 days. There was an analyst day before the 2 days of the event, and they gave us a lot of access to the execs, and that's really what it's all about. The reason we go is because to do our jobs, to be good analysts, we need to learn this stuff, and the fact that we get to be in a room with De Niro. That puts us in a good mind frame. It puts us in a good mood, but it's not why we go. But it was cool to see all these superstars, and I'm not gonna redo all of their presentations, but Neil deGrasse Tyson did have one that really ties into what we're talking about. So I'm just gonna make this point. He had a lot of clips. They were all really cool. We've all seen them. You ever see a clip on the internet of a helicopter flying, and the frame rate of the camera matches up to the spin, so it looks like it's floating?
Yeah.
And he says, if that's the data you have, you would have a different understanding of physics. Not because you're dumb, not because you think things magically float, because that's what you're seeing. So all this AI, it's relying on the data we give it. And if it's missing some frames, it might come to some really bad conclusions. So it was just something to think about. But I've been a big fan of his for a long time, and he
Oh, it's
is
fascinating.
he
Yeah.
was as amazing as and funny and charming and wonderful as we expected. So let's dig into our first. The first session started with these 3 points, and they seem like soft, fuzzy points. Make hybrid work, and magnet, not mandate for going to the office. But they were all tied to specific products and features and things they're doing. So it was very, very strategic. You remembered it better than me? You were just telling me before we started.
Yeah. And I'm I like Michael Porter. I've studied his work for ages. It was required reading in actually at Cisco when I had 10 years at Cisco. And I'm not too sure about these strategies. I felt as if they were a little bit fuzzy for WebEx. I don't even know whether to call it WebEx or Cisco WebEx or Cisco, but anyway, I call it Cisco WebEx. So their three strategies were reimagine work with WebEx Suite, reimagine workspaces with devices, and reimagine customer experience with contact center and CPaaS. Now, someone in my team at Omdia said, the trouble is, Tim, a lot of businesses have already done that reimagining since COVID. They had to. So I'm not sure whether or not, this whole reimagine piece, I don't know if Cisco WebEx has actually missed the boat, because I think a lot of enterprises have had to do that in the last 2 years. So I think they've already reimagined. Quite frankly, I wonder whether or not it's Cisco reimagining themselves and aligning to those three strategies, which are, perfectly good. They're great. Add more value and look at the value in WebEx Suite. Clearly, workspace and devices, and I know we'll come on to their strategy around Microsoft Teams and ILIA, and obviously customer experience, where they acquired IMI Mobile for CPaaS, and they're well known in the contact center space as well.
I mean, you could certainly look at it and say, okay, this is the same things that everyone's saying, and this is what we're all saying, and it's like, well, yeah, okay, so we've been saying that Cisco doesn't get it. Now Cisco gets it. I mean, I can't really fault them for saying the right things, and specifically since they tied it into what they were doing. Another quick point. This is G2 Patel, the GM of security and collaboration, and we got a lot of G2 over the 3 days. He was I feel like I know him personally. He was very open with us. And I feel like that's very important because I'm going to say it out what it is. In the past, sometimes Cisco collaboration has had a leadership problem. And that's awkward to say because anyone who's ever been in a leadership position has been a qualified exec who is a million times more brilliant than I'll be on my best day. These are people that I've been very happy to be in a room to talk to, but not all of them have had the passion for collaboration. Not all of them got our world. They come from different worlds. And I think part of giving us so much access to G2 was to show us that, he's one of us. He really, this isn't like, how did I get in charge of this division? This isn't what I want to do. He's into it. And that's important. It's funny, with such a big company, you wouldn't think a single person matters, but if you look at the history of Cisco collaboration,
right? We're seeing this a lot now, David. I guess analysts are getting a lot more exec time, which is really good, but not all that doesn't apply across the board. We had some great WebEx time together. We had some good exec time at Zoom. Not a great deal with Microsoft Ignite, I must admit, with Microsoft. There are other vendors that allow you to have more time, others that don't. But we as analysts really need to understand everything from what goes on in the head of the executives, what their strategy is, how they articulate it, how they present it to customers and potential clients. That is as much of a part of understanding a vendor's DNA as it is about diving into features.
Yeah, it really is. Like I was saying before, who benefits from this? We get to see De Niro. Both sides benefit. I mean, obviously, Cisco needs us to understand Cisco, and Zoom needs us to understand Zoom, and we need to understand them. And you're right. I want to sound like I'm like, Microsoft, you need to love me and my friends a little bit more, but Microsoft, you need to love me and my friends a little bit more. Are you going to Ignite?
I haven't got an invite. I'll attend remotely. I used to go, not so much now. There are some let's put it this way: there are some vendors that are more proactive at reaching out to analysts than others. I'll leave it at that.
That's fair. But Ilya's very nice to us. He's one of us. He was dancing with us on the dance floor. I gotta give him some love there. All right, so let's go on to the next topic, which is of course the first topic of any one of these events. We're going into AI. Okay, here's Rupam's tweet. Real-time media models. So at first I'm like, okay, so they have some sort of super technical, better than everyone else's AI, just like what's the differentiator here? And then I saw it and it clicked and it's like, oh wow, I get the differentiator here. Everyone else's AI is just looking at the text. I'm in a Zoom meeting, Microsoft Teams meeting. It does a transcription secretly somewhere and it reads that and it's smart enough to give me my summary and to-do items, and I love that. But it's just looking at the text. Why didn't I think of this? Why isn't it listening to the tone of my voice? Why isn't it looking at me? Why isn't it seeing that? And the example they gave is someone gets up in a meeting, walks to answer the door, Amazon, whatever, comes back, and the AI says, hey, I saw you walked away. Here's what you missed. But it could be so much more. It could be, oh, you're wearing your blue shirt. I see you recording today. Let me set up your camera the way you need it for recording. I mean, it could be anything. You seem... Your tone is a little lower than usual. Is everything okay? Do you need us to schedule a therapy appointment? I mean, this is crazy. Is it me?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, Cisco they're trying to reinvent large language models, LLMs, because they, as you rightly say, they're predominantly text driven. Interestingly, Copilot released yesterday that has got a speech coach. So if you're presenting in a meeting, it will give you ways in which you can improve your presentation. So they've already got that at the moment. RRMs, these real-time media models that train AI on reactions, gestures, tone of voice, inflections, those sorts of things. My concern here is that what are we going to do as employees? What if I don't want to turn on video because I'm worried that my gestures and everything will be captured? What if they mistake me yawning or blinking my eyes for I'm not paying attention? Will we then see meetings where I'm reported as not paying attention, or I zoned out, or I looked bored, or I wasn't engaged? So I can see some privacy issues here. So I think it's a great concept. I do think that it have to be carefully positioned, because we've got enough problems with sensitivity and privacy and governance and security around LLMs. I think with RRMs, the fact that everything will be recorded, or sorry, not recorded, everything will be acted upon, that could open up a whole load of interesting areas and criteria there, I think.
I almost see it as it will be a what is it called, a battle where they keep escalating and escalating on both sides, because the AI will say, oh, I look bored. I'm going to say, oh, AI, turn on my not bored filter. Right, I already have that. I've demoed it in one of our shows. I don't know if it hooked up now, but I have that AI thing that gives me eye contact. So even when I'm looking away, it looks like I'm giving eye contact. I could definitely have an AI filter that makes me look like I'm really interested in what the boss is saying.
Or people just turn around and mute their video. That could be the option there. But either way, I think it's a really good concept, and I think this is very differentiated in the market. I like the way in which Cisco are thinking and innovating in this area.
It's they we needed a lot. We needed something big, because we've heard so many times that WebEx is new and improved and da 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 da. And especially when it comes to AI, if you're saying you're going to have a differentiator, it has to be something. Now, how it's going to turn to be used in practice, but just the concept of looking at more than the text, it was like, okay, you got me there. Quick tweet. These are a bunch of my frosty friends. They were all out on the dance floor, and we talk about magnet, not mandate. The fact that all my industry friends go to these things, that's a big part of why I go to these things. But I also wanted to tell a story. Elka, who wore her spangly 80s costume for she's the only one who dressed up in costume. Very serious analyst. She's like the boss of everyone at Frost. But she can be a bit of a wise guy, and she got me in a good joke, but it made a point about AI. And we were talking about part of what Cisco is saying the power of their AI is, it's not just smart, intelligently asking questions, when you happen to be in control center or whatever. It's pervasive throughout. It's called consistent. It is your assistant. And by the way, you and we give all these companies a hard times about names. I think Microsoft, Zoom, and WebEx, they all get 10 out of 10. It's my co-pilot, it's my companion, it's my assistant. All those names are 10 out of 10 because I want to think of it as a person. And if I log into contact center, I don't have to explain, hey, what I was asking you about before. I want it to just be, and I want it to be like in the science fiction shows where it would have a name. I want to call it, and so I was talking to Elka, said I want to call it Allison, and say, Allison, give me my meeting summary. And Elka says, without a pause, she goes, David, who's Allison and what's your wife's name? I turn purple and I'm like, all right, my wife's name's Lisa, and she doesn't want me saying Lisa, what's a meeting summary? Allison's from a song. But it makes the point that I think, and it would need to check with Cisco to make sure that I understand, because that's the impression that they gave me, that I am getting my Allison, my pervasive, what I've wanted since I'm a little kid, my robot assistant.
Yeah, so the WebEx AI assistant, that's the one that gives the meeting summaries, the catch up on missed portions of meetings, etc. I think that was that to me felt a little bit more like catch up, where the real-time media models, the RRMs, was something that was clearly differentiated.
What was cool, what I didn't expect, was seeing it in Control Hub. I expected it in their products like the contact center, the meetings, the things that the users, what we call users. That's a terrible term. I always hated that, but that's what we always call the people who actually use this stuff. But this is for the IT people. There's AI. And it's the good AI, the stuff we like, the new AI in their control, what they call Control Hub, their management system for all their devices and networks and everything. So if your boss is Donna and your boss is like, my last call was a problem, they couldn't hear me, what the heck's going on? Are there any meeting issues for Donna? And these things are getting so smart. Yeah, the last meeting she had choppy audio, and it not only knows the answer. It knows what you're going to ask next. What am I going to ask next? Show me the details. So then it showed the details, and it might be cut off on the screen, but Then it ties into Webex bought this company called Thousand Eyes, which looks at the network. So then it ties into the Thousand Eyes, and it's like, here's where your packet loss. I mean, this is for your IT people, and then they can fix it. And then do you want me to set up an alert so during her next call, if her packet loss spikes, alarms go off? This is like having an assistant as opposed to, I mean, you used to be able to do all this stuff with Thousand Eyes, but you had to know how to do it. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's nice. It used to be quite esoteric how to program these things up. So the fact that you've got really, just by language prompts that you can get to this level of insight troubleshooting, I think is really, really good. And speaking of choppy audio, that was another area of AI, I think, that we're probably coming to next, David, isn't it?
Yes. This was super nerdy, but this, from someone who back when there was a company called Layered Media, which is the only way to do a video call over the internet without it totally breaking up. Video over the internet is hard. We have packet loss. We have bandwidth issues. And I have a little video. By the way, this is Zayas. If you're interested in anything having to do with Cisco and WebEx, you should be following Zayas. He's not only a great analyst and writer, but his knowledge of Cisco and WebEx in particular is. I read his article on the event to cheat and get ready for this. Okay, so follow Zayas. But what you were looking at here, and I'm going to play this video. They've made their new codec for audio is so efficient, it's 18 times as efficient. So it only uses 18 times as much bandwidth to start with. So instead of just only using an 18th, they're like, well, we have some extra bandwidth we could do some things with. So when it sends a packet is, I was paying attention to this, this is so cool. A packet is 10 milliseconds of audio. It sends the first packet. And then when it sends the second packet, it sends the first packet again, just in case the first one gets lost. Then when it sends the third packet, it sends the third with the second and the first, because why not? It's got all the space, right? So it could lose a bunch of stuff and it still has all the pieces to put together with AI. And even worst case scenario, let's say it loses like 10 packets in a row. So, okay, something actually did get lost there. It knows what the packet before sounded like. It knows what the packet after sounded like. It's AI. It fills in the gaps. It's fine. So in the demo they did, it's like, I've heard stuff like this before, but it really worked. They showed the demo. They had an audio going through 80% packet loss, and it was just bzz, 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 bzz. The same thing going through 80% packet loss with this, and it was fine. Let me play this video.
So if I have packet 1, I let it go through Spore network, it's going to go just fine. Right? And so let's get the first packet to go through over the network. That's fine. But the second packet actually has a redundant frame of the first packet, and that actually fell off. You didn't get the second packet on the other side. Well, no problem, because you've got the third packet that actually has a redundancy of the second packet in there. And that, when it gets on the other side and you saw that you didn't get the second packet, we were able to recreate the second packet because we've got the stub of the second, of the frame of the second packet.
This is the way it should work in 2023, right?
Yeah, I mean, using AI to replace or rebuild drop packets, even if there's I think they even said up to 90% packet loss is really clever. The interesting thing here is we spent a fortune in the industry applying quality of service on networks. Does this mean we don't have to worry about quality of service networks anymore? Well, clearly we don't, but there might be things like busy hotels, coffee shops, things like that, where and people have switched off video on calls before because poor bandwidth conditions or what have you, just so that they've got the audio path. But this to me is really interesting. One thing I'd love to know from Cisco is whether or not this is going to be a standards-based codec or whether or not it'll be proprietary. What has happened previously is that it's been proprietary and then it becomes a standard. So I'll be interested to see how this develops, but it's fantastic. I think it's a really interesting leap forward.
It's amazing, and it just as exciting. They have something very similar with video. With video, the way it usually works, and this is the way I want it to work. This is why it works so well. Is if we have a bandwidth hiccup, it just lowers the quality of the video. It tries to protect the audio at all costs. The precious audio it tries to shell and protect, but it'll let the video, and you'll notice it We've all been on Zoom calls, Teams calls that have a bad connection. First, someone gets a little bit blurry, then their frame rate kind of slows down. And if they're really like they're out in the wilderness, the frame might actually get smaller. Like there'll be a black border around them, and it's like, oh wow, you're down to 480p now. You got nothing left, and that's fine. I'd rather have the 480p video than have the audio, but that's the world we live in, and I just thought that's as good as it's going to get. But what Cisco is doing, they're using AI on the other end to upscale it again. Because we all know you could take a 480p video and go to whatever AI Photoshop stuff is out there and upscale it to 1080. So it's just basically doing that. But it's doing it proactively. It's not like, oh, we have a bad network. We're trying to react. It's Cisco knows network. That's kind of like, they're like, yeah, we got this when it comes to network. So it's downscaling it, sending it across at a small enough, bandwidth that the bandwidth can handle, and then upscaling again. So what you wind up with is 1080 on both ends. That's new, right?
That sounds, yeah, absolutely. It's fascinating as to how this is going to potentially change things.
Okay. The next announcement is they have a partnership with NVIDIA. I don't have all the details in front of me, but this is just important because AI takes a lot of processing, and NVIDIA is now making the chips that make the world go round. So just the fact that they're going to have the availability to have these chips in their endpoints will enable a lot of what we're talking about here.
Yeah, so they're rolling out new devices with such as, I think it's the dual screen EQX. So it looks like Cisco is back into the telepresence game again, but rather than rather than providing their own, it's more of a modular kit version. But it looks like they're all going to be equipped with these NVIDIA Jetson Edge AI chipsets. So there should be plenty of cool stuff that hopefully will allow Cisco to make use of these real-time media models and other sort of AI technologies.
Yeah, I think it'll help with that cinematic mode and whatnot too. That's gotta require some processing.
Yeah.
Okay, this is. Oh, I don't know if it's centered well, but I made sure to track this guy down and get a selfie with him. This is Dr. Chris Rowan. He was the CEO of Babel Labs, which is an AI company, one of a few companies that he's involved in that Cisco bought, and he came to work at Cisco. And I forgot his title, but I think he's unofficially the head of AI. And he's got if I remember right, he's got a degree from Harvard in physics and a doctorate in Stanford in electrical engineering, and they brought him out of this, and I'm joking around like he's like a cartoon character. He's a real guy. He's a nice guy, but he really is what I love about him is he has this energy that Neil deGrasse Tyson has. He comes out and he says, "Oh, this is what something does. Can I tell you how it works?" He's so excited to tell us how it works. And they brought us out on the second day. We're starting to get tired. He brought the energy back in the room. Oh yeah, and the story they introduced him with, so perfect. It's whoever it was, I think it might have been G2 who introduced him, said a new hire, fresh out of Stanford, walks in the door, and he looks at him and goes, "That's the guy who wrote the textbook from my class at Stanford." So this is that guy, and I don't know what it is with Cisco and guys named Rowan, but this is Chris Rowan. And I wish I'm gonna see if I can get him on the show because it was really cool. I wish I could do justice to what he explained to us, but he was explaining how their new AI. I think some of the audio stuff that we were just talking about works, and it was just really cool. We know these guys. Everyone's like, look at these two guys on stage together. But as you were saying, they get along so well. They even shop at the same.
Yeah, they must be in sync. They're clearly a partnership if you're wearing the same sort of style clothes.
Now, yeah, this obviously makes a lot of sense. Cisco's trying to get, trying to sell devices. Microsoft's trying to sell hardware.
Software. Microsoft's trying to sell hardware. Microsoft's trying to sell software.
I messed that up.
Yeah. And Cisco are trying to sell hardware and software, but appeasing the customers that have maybe got a joint Microsoft Teams and Cisco Webex solution by having the same hardware platform.
Yeah, it's funny. This is one of those things where I think this is wonderful for the customers, and I'm wondering whether or not at the end of the day it's going to be as wonderful for Microsoft and Cisco. But I guess it is because there's just so much out there. There was this, oh, I don't have the slide, but there was a slide that 98% of meetings have at least one remote participant, and only 13% of meeting rooms are enabled for video. It was crazy. There's so much to build out there that there's plenty of both of them, plenty of room for more Microsoft, more Webex. But I got to think that if I'm a Cisco I'm a Cisco rep, and I get in because my devices work well with Microsoft, a customer's using Microsoft Teams everywhere, I put them in the rooms. At some point, I'm going to say, hey, now that we have all these in the rooms, you got to see the new WebEx. You got to see it. And I'm going to try to poach that account. And I guess Ilya is like, okay, if they poach a couple accounts, that's fine. If the other 98% of my customers are happy with their Cisco devices and Teams. And Snorri is like, I want to poach those accounts.
Yeah, I think it's a really good insertion point for Cisco, because of course the other thing that Microsoft don't do is the contact center. They don't have like a contact center plugin, but WebEx does. So there are certainly key areas there where Microsoft and Cisco want to partner. There's places where Cisco can clearly get an beachhead segment into an account and start leveraging Teams for other things, including contact center space. So there's some interesting developments that are going on there. But yeah, great hardware partnership between Microsoft and Cisco.
By the way, this is absolutely part of their strategy. They Cisco has a lot of strengths that Microsoft or Zoom doesn't have, and that is their WebEx. I feel like it's not doing WebEx justice, but at the very least, WebEx is now good enough that once they get in there with the contact center, they could say, look at WebEx. But it's really more than that. They've put so much development into it. It's not just, oh, come on, you're a Cisco customer, just use us for everything. WebEx is good enough. It's really like what they were saying at the event is it's not your grandfather's WebEx anymore. And getting your foot in the door, whether it's through selling devices that are running Teams or contact center, that is their strategy, and it's already working for them. That's not. I don't think that's NDA. If it is, I'm sorry, but this isn't like theoretical. This is their strategy. It is working for them, and they're growing. Have a
year ago, we shipped in March, and now we have a full portfolio.
Well, as you said, over 2,000 customers, thousands of rooms, tens of thousands of rooms. I think that sort of summarizes the reaction, which is, one, maybe it's about time you guys partnered, but two, it's just great to see a Teams experience on these devices delivered with that unique Cisco integration that I have to give you so much props for in terms of the edge AI, things like meeting zones, audio AI, integration with Cisco Spaces. It's frankly what customers want and expect from us.
I should be. I feel like after listening to that, to be fair, I'm talking about the business side and the partnership. I'm really glossing over that it's not just, oh, okay, now this video bar runs Teams. It's the experience is something else. I mean, it is something that they have a right to be proud of. Contact center. Blair Pleasant wrote an article, a wrap up of WebexOne. She's really better at contact center on me, so go read her article. But the big takeaway is what I'm seeing is more options. These are their three options. The one in the middle is new. So you get the idea.
Yeah. So this was customer experience basic, they called it, and it's adding basic call center functionality and features into WebEx calling at no extra cost. And that's, as I pointed out earlier, that's available on Microsoft Teams as a WebEx plugin as well. So this is call center, not necessarily contact center capabilities. So it's the voice features of a contact center, that is available in WebEx calling at no extra cost, which I think is really good.
Nice. And this raises a question, and I should have asked this question better or paid more attention when it was answered, but because I'm seeing that the advanced AI is on some of the options. With Zoomtopia, we made such a big deal out of the fact that their AI is free. If you have a Zoom license, I'm not sure what the monetization for AI in WebEx is. I'm not sure if it's the same as Zoom, it's just part of WebEx, or if it's going to come with some versions of some things, or how that's going to work. Did you catch that?
Yeah, we need to clarify. I believe that the AI assistant, which is the meeting summaries, catch up on missed portions of meetings, that is available at no extra cost, but I will definitely double check. Yeah.
Okay, that's not just me. But there was a few things that, even as the video guy, contact center, I'm starting to dabble, that I really liked about what I heard about contact center and the use of AI. I think for everything I've always heard about contact center, it's been focused on helping the agent so that it's a better experience for the customer, helping the agent so that there's more transactions done, so that more money is made for the company, for the vendor. And what I'm hearing from now, and not just from Cisco to be fair, but I did hear it at this event, is they're getting that agents are people too. There's millions and millions of people, and their job is to wake up every day and sit at a call center, and that's fine, and that shouldn't be like a miserable, oh, I'm so sorry. So sorry, you work at a contact center. It shouldn't be, and it's my fault because I'm the one who yells at them. But if the AI helps them, first of all, I used to get mad at contact center people when they're just reading what the AI said, because the AI was bad. The AI is good now. Let the AI help us. When the AI says to the contact center person, "Tell David this," some of the mock-ups, some of the demos were mock-ups, but still, it's going to be what I want to hear. But we're also worrying about the well-being of the. We're talking about the rich media. You could tone of voice. The AI knows if an agent's getting stressed out. Because if an agent's getting stressed out, the agent's not going to be a good agent for the next customer. We don't want our agents stressed out. And they make you take a break and they play music. That's what Ariana Huffington was doing there. She has a company called Thrive, and it makes these 1-minute videos that make you not stressed. And that's about the agent. I thought that was so cool.
Excellent. Yeah. So that's 45 minutes so far, David.
No.
We're only just scraping the surface of some of this. Is there anything else that we need to sort of focus on as we look to wrap up?
We are wrapping up. We're getting to the hardware. We used to complain about Cisco telepresence. No one wants to buy a $500,000 thing that doesn't fit in the elevator. This time I don't have a full picture of it. Basically, it's the rack. You can get it with the screens. If you have your own monitors, you don't even have to get the monitors. It's the super big deluxe video bar with a rack and cable management. You could put it on your elevator, and this is their new big system. And it's kind of like they've been listening to us in the analyst community. Also, and this we could spend a lot of time on, just because it's so much fun to talk about. But the way I'm seeing this is, we're not going to see these in rooms all over the world. But it's a technology demo, and it shows what Cisco's design people can do, and will help get excited about Cisco Webex and buy some of the other things. And any other thoughts on this?
Well, the other one was, of course, is Poly launched Centro in 2016. So when I heard someone saying we're reimagining boardroom devices, I sort of thought, well, no, not unless you've jumped in a DeLorean and gone back to the future to Enterprise Connect in 2016. So those of us that have been in the industry for some time have seen something pretty similar to this. Agreed, it's not the dual screen or the video bar, but it was a variation of a theme, I think. So not necessarily reimagined, but we'll see how this takes off or doesn't. I'm not sure. We've tried the market. We tried to test the market once. Maybe it wasn't ready. Maybe now's the time.
I think, honestly, it's a big ask because it requires a different shaped room. We have a lot of long rooms, and this, it's one thing to move the table around, but a different shaped room. But I can't say that the people who get it are going to say we hate it, we had a bad experience. I mean, we'll see what happens. A center of table is becoming a thing. They're not the only one to have a center of table, but this is center of table and then some. I don't have a slide for it, but also they showed their cinematic. I would love for someone from Cisco or Zoom to give me the differentiators between Intelligent Director and cinematic, because and there's nothing wrong if they're the same, because that's the solution people want. But if there are differentiators, I just want to know. I just want to, because I think they're both cool solutions. I want to understand them better. So let's wrap it up. They showed us De Niro. They're making a big deal about WebEx. This is a hot competition with Zoom. You know, they're partnering with Microsoft, but when they were talking about Zoom, I didn't feel like this is a friendly competition. They are, and I think, you know, the reason Zoom was created in the first place was because they didn't like WebEx. So the question is, this strategy, do we think it will work? I'm thinking, you know, I would like to see if I feel like they were saying to us, analysts, we did everything you said. We put so much development into WebEx. We made it everything you wanted it to be. We listened to you this time. Why would anyone use Zoom? Why would anyone buy Poly? Why would anyone buy Neat? And I can't blame. I mean, I really felt that passion, and I can't blame them, because they listened to us and they spent the money and they did the work. But they need to understand why people are still using Zoom and still liking those other ones. They can't just say ours is great. We don't understand why anyone would. They need to understand. Any thoughts on that?
Well, the effectiveness of a strategy is reflected in the revenue that you pull in. And if you look at the year-over-year growth, it's -9% for Cisco Collaboration in that particular business unit. It's gone quarter-over-quarter between declining to flat to slightly improving. But the proof of the pudding is in the eating. The proof of the strategy is in the revenue that's generated. So we shall see over the forthcoming quarters to see whether or not that strategy is effective. Okay,
and I know you got to go. I'm making you late, but so the last final thought. This is a segment we're going to add. I wanted to have a graphic that say Tim was right, because at Zoomtopia, Tim told Zoom, don't call your new product Doc, because people will think it's a word processor, and it's not a word processor. It is what it is. We'll talk about that later. But the Cisco is getting a couple dings in by saying, you know, why would anyone use Zoom? They're making word processors now. They've lost the plot. They don't know what they're doing anymore. They're making word processors. You know, we should have listened to Tim.
They tried to land that joke twice. I mean, there's a whole new market category, and I'm writing an article at the moment about collaborative collaborative co-editing or co-creation workspaces, collaborative co-creation workspaces. So that's the like of Notion, Zoom Docs, all of these new Lucid Spark, all of these new sorts of capabilities out there that allow you to work collaboratively, co-create content for distributed asynchronous working. Unfortunately, a number of people out there, they still think that meetings is the way to go in real-time communications. So yeah, not a great name to call it, Zoom Docs, but the concept is really interesting. And I think we're going to see a lot of traction in that new market area. Just a shame that Cisco's joke, they tried it twice, didn't land. So maybe they need to rethink that.
Well, I got a couple laughs from the analyst crowd. But yeah, it just... I mean, what do I know? But my advice is it's easy to just write off Zoom, and it's a lot harder to dig down and say, well, if our product is better and some people are still wanting to use Zoom, you know, we need to get that, whatever that is.
Yeah.
All right. So I know I'm so sorry I made you late.
No problem. Yeah.
Thanks to everyone who was watching, and thanks so much to the Cisco analyst team for hosting us. You guys were wonderful. I should have made a whole big thing about that. Just shuttling us from session to session, taking care of us, the hospitality. Thank you all so much, and the access to the execs. Really appreciate everything. Thanks everyone for watching, and Tim, see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you, David.